everybody. So if your family is facing a more difficult Christmas this year, how do you prepare kids who may be anxiously awaiting a generous visit from Santa? Some people say start with getting back to the basics. Welcome Pastor Ben Young with Second Baptist Church, clinical psychologist Dr. Lori Baldwin, and author and lifestyle expert Beth Irvine. Hi there. I will never forget, several years ago, a friend of mine, his son wanted a specific gift, and he didn't get it, and he threw a fit, throwing things in the whole bit. And his dad said, all right, you're about to learn something. They packed up all of his gifts, went down to a charity organization. He had to hand them out to children. Hi, here's your new iPod, or here's your whole bit, right? And he had to give them away. But every year after then, that's what they would do on Christmas. It meant, let's go down and feed people and give them gifts.
Wow. That's tough love.
That is tough love.
But it's a great, I respect what that parent did. They'll never forget that. They'll take that with them the rest of their life. But it kind of got back to, and Ben, as a pastor, I mean, have we kind of gotten confused what Christmas really is? Oh, there's no doubt about it is. And sometimes Christmas is not about Christmas. It's about consumerism, or should I say, more consumerism.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong with consuming. That's a part of our society, what we do. But a lot of times at Christmas, we simply pile on and we buy things for people who don't need those things. And we forget that Christmas is not about getting, it's about giving.
Yeah, and Lori, it's not a competition either.
Right, and you know, it's funny, as you were just talking, I was sitting here thinking, and as a parent, I fall into that trap. It's like, oh, I've only bought my kid 8 presents. I need to go get 3 more, you know. And I think that even as parents, in terms of being role models, scaling back and thinking in terms of, okay, my kid doesn't need 12 or 15 presents, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 will be fine. But I do find that, you know, even in my own family, I kind of,
yeah, well, a lot of times parents also, we equate how much we love our children with how much we give them.
That's exactly right.
And that's not really what kids want. They want you to be there for them, and that's it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sometimes too, after Christmas, you've given too much, there's kind of a hollow, empty feeling.
Yeah.
It's really anticlimactic for the parents and for the kids. There's nothing wrong with wanting to give your kids what they want, but there's got to be a limit. And one of the things we did in our family, Deborah, I think you know, is when my oldest child was around 4, she had the idea that we'd start this pattern. In other words, some years we wouldn't have Christmas and we would do Christmas.
Your 4-year-old came up with this idea.
Our 4-year-old, and when she did, I said, where's the contract? Let's sign this. So she's going to want to, she will recant later. So we said every other year, we will do Christmas for a needy family. Now we do Christmas every year for a needy family, but on an off year, we just take the money we would give to our kids and pour it into a family who really, really needs it and kind of go over the top for them.
Yeah, which is something that you, Beth, you and your family have done.
Well, one example I'd like to say, and I agree with both of you, I think that's so true. I think leading by example is probably the easiest and best way that we can teach our kids. One little idea that we have done is turned into a tradition is my son wanted to do it. You know, we always wanted to give to people on the street. And I know it's better to give to shelters, but at Christmas time sometimes, you know, it's just hard to see people on the street. So he came up with this idea where we'd pack a sandwich, some chips, a drink, and most important, they wrote a note of inspiration. And we labeled them bags of hope. And we would take them out on Christmas Eve or right around the holidays, and we'd hand them out to people on the street.
Yeah, let me ask the people in the audience. Some of you won't remember this, but how many of you remember the days where your Christmas present was like an orange or an apple in a shoebox type of thing? Yeah, well, more of you than I thought. Yeah, my mom always recounts that story, which is the reason why my mom would go crazy at Christmas time. It's the one time a year they used a credit card. And for her, it was because she didn't have, she was making up for what she didn't have. And we would, this is how bad it was. We'd have to stop and take a break and get a snack in the opening process. Like, I'm tired, can we go get something? Okay, we'll open the rest of them after we have a snack, right? But that's how crazy it was. And a lot of that has to do with psychologically where we are.
Yeah, and I think that when people are deprived or feel like they're deprived as kids, and it ends up being a negative feeling as opposed to making it a tradition and having it be a positive thing, then there engenders that sense of, I don't want my kids to have to go through that like I did. I had a colleague, and they were very poor as kids, and they ate rice and beans constantly. So whenever we would go out to lunch, she would never order rice and beans. I mean, she just had like a philosophical stand against rice and beans. And it sounds like that's kind of a similar story for your mom.
Yeah, and then comparing how we handle Christmas here, it's kind of what was originally like St. Nick's Day and then Christ Mass kind of all got rolled in together in this country. I know when I was in England, it was like at St. Nick's Day, they would celebrate, they give a toy or two, and then at Christmas, they went to church.
Right.
There was a distinction between the two.
Yeah, there really was. And what happened, I mean, basically, when Constantine supposedly became a Christian and the persecution of Christians stopped at around 313 AD, he started Christianizing all the pagan holidays. One of the big pagan holidays was right around the time of December 25th, known as Saturnalius, and was a big wild party.
Yeah,
and
big winter festival. Everybody come on
winter
down,
festival,
go
like
wild.
a Mardi Gras on steroids.
Yeah.
And so he did that, and he took Easter and tried to Christianize them. And still, I think we've been struggling now for centuries on how do you merge this Christian holiday celebrating the birth of Christ with all the consumerism and Santa. There's a lot of confusion, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. All right. And then, Beth, the other thing is there's going to be a certain level of expectation for kids. And my son at 4.5, he's not really demanding so much right now or expecting so much right now.
Right.
However, how do you talk to your 12-year-old, your 8-year-old, when she knows that Missy up the street is getting blah, 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 and I really want blah, 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 too?
Right. Well, I think that you could probably answer just as well as I can on this one. For me, it is about leading through example and saying that, you know, we are who we are and everybody's different. And just because this person has this and this and that doesn't mean that's us. And that's usually how I handle a situation like that. And I suppose a psychologist would have a more maybe professional answer.
Yeah, let me pull one out here.
But especially if your family is going through a tough time and has not ever gone through it before, it's scary, and it can be scary for a child as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a very crucial point. People do better when they can predict what's going to happen in the future and when they have some amount of control over what's going on right now. And I think that's one of the reasons why adults are becoming very anxious in response to this kind of economy situation that we have going on, because I don't know about you guys, but I can't wrap my brain around what half the time they're talking about when it comes to the economy. So it's very scary. So I think one thing that's really important is for adults to be aware of whether you're bringing that into the home. The home should be a sanctuary. It should be a protective bubble for all members who live there, so that you're not bringing that anxiety and that uncertainty and that fear into the home. And in terms of giving your children some amount of control. So the older kids, what I am doing with my kids is they have a list of 10 or 12 things, and I have them itemized. Okay, which things are really important? The things that are very expensive, we're doing what Sarah, who's going to be on the show in a minute, she calls matching funds. I call it you pay for half, I'll pay for half, but I like matching funds. That sounds more official. But giving them some control so that, they may not get what little Susie up the street is getting, but they've got some say-so over what it is that you know, they're hoping to get from Santa Claus.
And Dr., don't you think kids are very concrete? So when you're up front with them, you tell them directly, they can handle it.
Yeah, I say be realistic, but not pessimistic.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, give them the straight scoop, but don't do it with doom and gloom and, oh my God, you know, the sky's falling and we're going to be living under a bridge. I have a daughter who tends toward anxiety and worry as it is, so that's just fueling the fire with a little kid like that. And some of them come out that way.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I got to tell you, there is only one gift that I remember, like really remember, that I got for Christmas. And it was my little Susie home baker little oven, right?
Oh, the Easy
Bake Oven. Easy Bake Oven.
Sure.
And the only reason why I remember that is because I used it to make money. I was selling cakes and cookies up and down the neighborhood. So it's the only reson why I remember that one gift. The other ones, really, you play with them for a minute and then it went away. But what I remember the most is the time that I spent with my family at the dinner table, or just the warm smells of baking, and then looking at the Christmas lights. That's what I remember the most. And driving. Remember back in the days when you just went driving? You just drove through the neighborhood and said, ooh, look at that one. You just went
Look at
driving.
the lights.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So,
Deborah, I just think the last thing to finish with is really about leading through example. You know, I think if parents don't get wound up about the economy, if parents don't get wound up about there's not as many gifts or what the traditions are, we set the tone. You know, we don't have to try that hard as long as we take care of how we're reacting with our kids.
right.
You know?
They won't know
Yeah.
unless they're getting it from us. All right. Thank you all very much. When we come back, we'll show you how to create holiday traditions that are fun, easy, and recession-proof.